Hi guys, it's Akumu Fiona again, Chess Club Media. I hope the lighting is good today. I've been kind of struggling with the lighting, but I hope it's good. It looks okay. Yeah, so today I'm going to talk about how to build branding guidelines for your social media channels. Because we build a lot of style sheets and branding guidelines for the company, but a lot of companies don't think about doing the same for social media because it's not exactly the same thing. You should have a separate style sheet for your social media and separate guidelines for social media, even if they're kind of in tandem with the main guidelines of the company. They should be separate. And how do you create one? So you do that by asking 3 key questions. And before I get into the questions, there are 2 assumptions that we're working with here. So the first assumption is that you actually have a brand image, guide already. So that guides how you're going to build your graphics, the font type, the kind of typography that you're going to use, the kind of colors. So that is sorted out. The other assumption is that you already have a target audience, so you already know the psychographics and the demographics of them. So once you have those 2 things, you can move on to figure out the brand voice. And the brand voice, you do that by asking 3 key questions. So the first question that you can ask to figure out your brand voice on social media is, it's not really a question, but it's a concept that you think about. So how can you, your brand, if it was a person, how can you describe it? So for example, your brand is, like you describe someone as sarcastic, kind, helpful. So is your brand any of that? So once you list all that down, you pretty much have the tone for your social media handles. So once you have that down, you know that your brand is probably, relatable, helpful, what else can you, sarcastic. If you are Wendy's on social media, you're sarcastic. Yeah, so you have the tone down. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, once you have the personality or your brand personality down, then that kind of guides you in the second key question that you need to ask. So the key question that you need to ask next is, what emotions do you want to convey on social media? So if you are a kind of a relatable person, so maybe your emotions that you want to convey on social media are, excitement, happiness, triumph. So once you figure the list of those emotions out, then you go to the next key question which you need to ask is, what elements will you add to your social media channels or your posts to actually go in tandem with the tone and the emotions? So what elements are you going to include? So for example, you've already said you're a relatable brand in terms of your characteristic. So maybe the elements that you're going to put in are emojis. So are you going to use them or not? If you ask me, I think every business should use them because everyone is using them on social media. So actually that makes you human. It humanizes you. So yes, are you going to use emojis or not? Maybe your personality as a brand is what do you call it? Maybe it's relatable, or maybe it's sarcastic, so you're going to use memes. Or maybe you want to be relatable and you're going to use things like slang language. What kind of language are you going to use? So what elements will you put in to your social media posts so that you can actually fit in the kind of personality that you said you listed down? So I'll give you an example. There's one brand that I've worked with before, and their target market was young people, Generation Z. So the idea was to be very relatable to them and to be kind of seamless in this young people's feed. So the element we decided to add was slang language. So we actually added slang, and the posts were not fully English, they were mixed. The other element we decided to add was emojis, because Generation Z kind of speaks emoji lingo, so you have to add that. So that was just an example of the kind of elements we added, depending on the kind of personality we had given the brand on social media. Examples that I can give in terms of brands you can look at to figure out what kind of tone they've taken is Wendy's. I've already mentioned it. So the Wendy's, the tone is very sarcastic, and they use dry humor in their posts, and that has made them very famous on social media. So the idea with figuring these 3 questions out, the personality in terms of the tone, the emotions you want to convey, and the kind of elements you're going to add in, you need to be very consistent with them. Brian had already spoken about consistency. It's the number 1 thing on social media. So once you figure all these 3 key things out, you need to be consistent. Why? Because sometimes it's not only one person who's handling the social media updates, it's many people. So you need the guidelines to actually guide your company's posts. So if whoever is posting, the guidelines actually make sure that they're consistent to the brand. So I hope those 3 key things will help you build guidelines for your social media. And as always, if you have any questions, please ask. And this has been Akumu Fiona, Chess Club Media. Happy to be with you again, and the live video is over for now. See you soon. Ciao.